Hello, lovely people. How are you doing? Happy New Year. I know we're already well into the year. It's almost the middle of the month. I get it, but this is my first video of the year. So Happy New Year. I'm so glad that you guys are joining me today on my channel, Wedding Girl Talk Live. For those who don't know, my name is Lola Akingbade, and I'm so glad that you're joining me today. So today I'm going to be sharing about how to save some money, to save some costs as you begin to look for your venue. I know a lot of people got engaged over the holidays, got engaged over the New Year's, and you're probably in the process of now looking for your venue. There's some very important things that I want to share that would help you as you begin to find that perfect venue for your wedding. So the first tip I'm going to be sharing with you guys is to consider picking a date for your wedding that is any other day in the week except a Saturday date. Now guys, I know that Saturday is like the perfect day to get married, right? Like you don't have to go to work, you don't have to wake up early the next day and all of that. I get it, but there are a lot of venues that offer much better rates, or I wouldn't say much better, but discounted rates on any other day, be it Friday, Tuesday, Monday, Sunday, whatever day of the week. If you and your fiance don't mind, definitely ask your venue, and sometimes it's a pretty good discount. So you definitely want to ask your venues as you're looking if they offer a different rate for days other than Saturdays. And guess what, guys? Because of COVID-19 and everything that happened last year, there are a lot of places that are actually already also booked up for Saturdays. So they have other days in the week available, and they are at really great deals, guys. So if you're on a budget and you're trying to cut costs, this is one good thing that you could do. The second tip that I want to share with you all as you begin to look at venues is that you should also consider getting married during an off-peak month. Now, off-peak means different things depending on where you're located. I'm located in the DMV area, which is like the Maryland, DC, Virginia area. I would say that our off-peak months are like January and February. We don't get a lot of weddings during this time. We get a couple, yeah, one or two here and there, but these are generally the off-peak months. So this could mean anything for wherever you are. It could be, your off-peak could be more like November, but for us it's January and February. During this month, there are a lot of venues that actually offer discounted rates to couples that will be willing to get married during those months. Now, if you're in the DMV, you don't mind there being snow during your wedding, or your wedding day might be about 10 degrees. If you don't mind, consider getting married during one of those months, and I'm pretty sure your venue will give you a discounted rate because a lot of people don't typically book them during those times. So another tip that I want to share with you all is to consider having your ceremony and your reception at the same location, and not necessarily in the same room, but at the same location. So there might be a hotel that's offering you one ballroom for the reception. You can also ask them for another ballroom for the ceremony if they can accommodate that, especially if you do not mind this. There's some people who absolutely has to get married in a church. Your parents might be like, oh yeah, you're getting married in a church. For some of my people, my fellow Nigerians, your parents might be like, God forbid you are marrying in a church. If that's your parents, then just stick to the whole church and then come back for the reception at a different location. That's fine. But if you don't mind, your parents will definitely not mind, then consider getting married at the same location, because most venues will try to work with you because they want to make sure that they get your business and they want to do their best. So sometimes they might even decide to waive a room rental for the ceremony or give you a really discounted rate for the ceremony. And guess what, guys? If you have everything at the same location, you also save costs for transportation. So you don't have to drive from one place to another. You don't have to rent a car or rent a transportation company to move you from one place to another. And then chances are also you might be able to save costs on your decor, right? So if you're using the same location, you might be able to repurpose flowers from your reception, use them in the ceremony, and then put them back into the reception once you're done. You can also do that at the church sometimes, depending on the proximity and all that, and the logistics and all of that stuff. But you might be able to save some costs there. So if you can, guys, get married at the same location. All right, another really great tip that I want to share with you all is to book your venues as early as possible. Guys, your venue should be like the very first thing that you start planning when it comes to your wedding, because it determines quite a number of things. But book it early, because costs go up yearly. So this year your venue might cost, I don't know, $5,000. By next year, they might decide to increase the price to like $5,500 or something. So make sure you book as early as possible. So start looking for those venues, start, researching and doing all the things that you need to do. But book early. Don't wait till like the next year to book, because by then the numbers might have gone up. All right, guys, so I have another tip for you all, and it's for venues that you're considering that provide you with catering and alcohol. Now, you want to make sure that you find out from them what the rate is for kids and what the rate is for adults. Because the thing is, you don't want them charging you a full rate for children who may not be drinking, they will not be drinking alcohol at the wedding, right? So you want to make sure, and a lot of times people have different rates. They might have rates for kids who are below the age of 5, and then they have, or below the age of 10, and then they have a different rate for people between the ages of 11 and whatever the drinking age is where you are. So you want to make sure you get those different rates. Sometimes they might offer the below 5 or below 10 a different rate, because they can offer them food that's more appealing to kids, like French fries, chicken nuggets, that kind of meal. And there's no point charging kids at that age a full $200 per person plate when they're just eating chicken and chips or something. And then the older people who are like older kids between the ages of 11 and whatever the drinking age is, they might be eating like the proper meal that everyone's eating, but then they are not drinking alcohol, so they should also have a lower rate. So make sure you have the different rates for the different buckets of guests that you're having. Don't just tell the venue that, I have 100 people, and they're going to charge you for 100 adults. If you have kids in there, if you have minors in there, make sure you also ask them for those lower rates for the kids and the minors that will be in the room. Another tip that I want to share with you all is to try to have a really good estimate of what your guest count can be, right? Because a lot of times venues might ask you or might require that you have a minimum guarantee, right? And you don't want to get committed to something that you don't need. So say, for example, you tell them that you're planning for 200 guests, and then what they charge you or what they quote you in your contract, the minimum guarantee is for 200 guests. And then you end up having only 120. But guess what? Because you signed that contract, you are required to pay them the amount of money up until what was mentioned in the contract, even if you don't have that number of guests that you anticipated. So make sure if you don't know what your guest count is, try to stay on the lower end so that you're not stuck into something that you don't need, right? Venues usually require that even if your guest count doesn't get to that number, or you cannot meet that minimum food and beverage dollar amount because your guest count is low, then you have to spend it on other things. You might have to start getting things like AV equipment, drapes, or whatever it is that they can provide that they can charge you for just to make up that minimum food and beverage amount. So make sure you start on the lower end and make sure that you have a better idea of what your guest count should be for when you're exploring venues that provide you with minimum guarantees based off of your number of guests. All right, guys, so the final tip I want to share with you all is to make sure you read your contract entirely and you understand it, especially all the costs and all the fees that are associated. Because sometimes venues might tell you that, the fee is $200 per person, right? And then you didn't do the math, the full math, and then they might be having like a 25% service charge, 10% tax, 9% alcohol tax. So make sure that when you get the proposal and you get the fees, make sure you ask for a full calculation of the fees. Don't just go by them saying, our menu packages start at $200 per person, and then you do a quick math in your head as 200 times 100 people, that is 20,000. That's probably not all the fees that are included. So make sure that you read the contract, you understand it, and you also get a price proposal from each venue, just so that you know for a fact all the costs that could possibly be coming out of your venue. You don't want any surprises at the end of the day, right? Because there's sometimes people are like, oh, I didn't know that I had to pay that fee. I did not pay that. It was probably in your contract and you overlooked it. So make sure that you completely read your contracts. You know, if you have a planner, I'm pretty sure your planner would read the contract, but if you don't have a planner, make sure you read it, send it to make sure you and your fiance read it, and make sure you understand every single detail in it, because you don't want any surprising costs that might come out at the end of the day. All right, this is the bonus one. I want you guys to actually shop around, okay? Look at multiple venues, get the different price points and packages and menus and everything that they offer, because you can actually use it to negotiate. And what do I mean? If you really, really like this particular venue, but their cost is a little bit higher than you would love to spend, and then you have a comparable venue that is offering you something similar for a lower cost, you can always use that to negotiate with your venue that you really like. You can tell them, well, I got a better, more affordable quote from this other place. Are you willing to match? A lot of times, because venues want your business, they might match, or at least give you something that will entice you a little bit more to come with them. I'm not saying every venue matches, okay? So don't quote me, don't use my word against me. Not every venue matches, but a lot of venues are willing to offer you concessions here and there just for you to go with them. So make sure you shop around, make sure you have fun, take your family, take your fiance, take your best friend with you to go venue shopping, and make sure you get proposals from this venue so that you can actually compare, do your homework, compare, and then it'll also help you figure out maybe there's some things that you should be considering that one venue is providing, the other venue isn't providing. So guys, shop around and use it to your advantage. So thanks guys for watching my video. I really appreciate you being here. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and make sure you give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed all the things that we shared today. If you have any comments or have any questions, please leave them in the comments and I'll definitely get back to you on them. Thank you so much again, and until next time, deuces!